I have seen, I believe, one of the most disturbing scenes in television history. The scene that I'm going to be talking about today is also from Twin Peaks. This is going to be another video that's based on the series, and the reason why that I really wanted to go back to Twin Peaks again is because we see an important character get killed, and the way they killed her was so disturbing that I cannot even believe it was allowed on TV. Her namesake was Madeline, and she was the cousin of the first victim in the series, who was a Laura Palmer. So she had come to Twin Peaks to look after her aunt and uncle. She felt bad for them because of what they had been through. So they had lost their only daughter, and she wanted to be there for them. But she wasn't expecting an evil to already be there with her in the house. This scene is so horrifying just to watch. I was actually speechless, and it's very rare for a show to do that to me. But this whole scene, I was just dead quiet. I was just in disbelief with what I was watching. And before that I start to go over the scene, first I think it's best if I give you some context to understand what's happening here. So before this horrible scene occurs, as we know, the main character, Dale Cooper, is trying to hunt down the killer of Laura Palmer, and he discovers something very interesting that I still don't know what to say about yet. So he has been, in the first half of season 2, there has been a character called the Giant, and he has been talking to Dell, talking to him about the mystery of who killed her. He's been trying to help him out, and it's interesting because I feel like he purposely cannot give away too much information, and he even tells Dell this, that he can't really tell him everything. And before the scene occurs, Dell is actually hanging out with two friends from Twin Peaks. That is the sheriff and also the logs lady. She actually carries a log in the show. It's interesting. And the three of them are all in a bar having a drink, and they're watching this band play. And all of a sudden, the Giant, he appears on stage, and only Dell can see him. And he tells him this line, "It's happening again. It's happening again." And I was so curious what that meant, and it was a very fascinating sequence, one of the strangest scenes I've ever seen in television. And wow, it was awesome how they filmed that part. And I was trying to figure what he meant by that until the next sequence, and I really had a hard time watching that. It was so disturbing. So there is another thing that I have to talk about before the scene comes up. So Dale Cooper is hunting down this man named Bob. So Bob, from what I've seen so far, I think he's some kind of demon or something, because he's not exactly a person. He looks like an old man. People have drawn pictures of him. They have described him as an old guy with long gray hair. And he looks terrifying. He looks very creepy. And for some reason, we don't really find, for some reason, the characters haven't found his actual body. So I think he's a demon, because for Bob to even commit his crimes, and it was confirmed that he was the one that killed Laura Palmer, he has to possess a vessel. And that was insane. I did not expect that at all, that twist. And what was even more horrifying about Bob is that the person that he had possessed to kill Laura was so shocking and unexpected that I freaked out when that twist was revealed. I was staring at the screen in shock because I was just like dreading about what was going to happen after that. So the first part of this scene before it's like Madeline gets killed, there is something that really confused me. The only thing I couldn't understand was when it's like Laura's mother is crawling down the stairs and she passes out like after seeing a like white horse in her own like living room. That was really confusing for me. I couldn't figure that part out. Like, I don't know why she saw a horse. I don't know what the significance of that was, but hopefully that's going to be explained later because that was very confusing for me. But the scene that follows afterwards, it's awful. So, after that, I was like, we see like Leland, who is like Laura's father. He is staring like into like a mirror as he's putting on white gloves. I was confused here until he looked in the mirror and I saw who it was staring back at him. It was Bob, and he was smiling. He looked evil, and that's when I knew what was going to happen to Madeline, and I was just dreading the entire scene, and what follows is just, oh my god. So she comes downstairs and she mentions a fire. That was confusing for me too, but I do have a theory on this, but it's gonna be like after the scene. So it's like the father chases after her and she is screaming and screaming. Oh my god, the actress did a fantastic job in that scene. Oh my god. It was so very raw. Her fear was so raw. I had a hard time watching that. Oh my god, poor girl. And after that, he grabs her. He starts to beat her as she pleads for help. Oh my god, I hated that scene. And what also made the scene very effective was the fact that it started to go in slow motion. It almost felt like that was done on purpose to kind of like scare like the viewer. And I think their intention was to make us feel like that's like we're watching something that we shouldn't be watching. It felt like violating to see this poor sick woman get beaten to death by her own uncle. And just when she's yelling help me, and it's in a very deep voice because again it's slow motion, and there's like blood coming out of her mouth, and I didn't like that scene. I just had a hard time. Oh man, she suffered, and she was in pure horror. I mean, she was terrified. Of course, she's not gonna know that her uncle got possessed. Like how can you? Like, she's not gonna know that. And I can't imagine how confused she was too when it was going down. And oh my god, the scene that follows, it was it was horrible. And after that, he picks her up. He's spinning her around. And she's making these gurgling noises because she can't even move. She's been beaten to the point where she can't even move her body. And I felt this awful rage at Bob, and he started to kiss her in a very violating way. And that confirmed to me that he really did see like Laura as some kind of possession. He did not want her to go, and I think her fate was sealed, her cousin, because she wanted to leave the outside Twin Peaks for good, and she had told her uncle and aunt about this, and she was killed the same night before she was going to leave. I think he killed her for two reasons, Bob. One, because she looked like Laura, and two, I think he was obsessed with her somehow, because the way he killed Madeline, oh my. And as he's spinning her, we see a very disturbing, very small glimpse of like Leland. He's crying, he sings like Laura's name. I honestly think he could have been aware. I think he was aware of what he had done to Laura, but he was possessed. And the fact that Bob possessed him and made him do that, it's just awful. And after that, to finish off like Madeline, he shoves her in a painting, kills her instantly because it was glass. And then he picks up like one of her nails, her fingers. He shoves a cutout like letter straight like underneath. That's like one of her fingernails, confirming that he was the one that killed his own daughter. I couldn't believe that. It was the fact that Bob, this horrific monster, was willing to possess a father to murder his own child, and knowing that he had tortured her before she was murdered is just horrific. That is pure evil at its finest form. That is evil. And then poor Madeline, she was killed too by him, and it makes me wonder if Laura was aware when she was getting killed by her own dad. I don't, it makes me wonder if maybe she already knew Bob was there. Did she already know it was Bob? I don't know. There's a lot of mystery to that as well. And the fact that's like Madeline, of course she's not going to know that her uncle got possessed. Like, you're not going to know that. And oh my god, and it's crazy because his wife was passed out that whole scene. Like, she didn't even know about him killing her. Like, she didn't even hear anything. She was gone. She passed out. And some other thing I also want to mention too, is that I was just really upset nobody heard her screaming. Like, I'm curious how like late it was at night, but oh my god, it's just, I can't believe that nobody heard her. I just really wish someone would come to her rescue, but I just knew that was it for Madeline. Her death was so brutal. I was just so angry because her character, that was really sweet. She was a sweetheart that was pulled into the stupid love triangle of Donna and James. She didn't need to be there, but she wanted to help because she cared about her cousin. She cared about her family. And then she gets killed by her uncle that got possessed. That is so messed up. So, there is like something I forgot to mention. I don't know if I already did or not, but there was something that made this scene very effective. I did mention the slow motion scene, but the one thing I forgot to mention was the as a record player. It was playing the whole time during that whole scene, but it was just playing. There was no music or sound. It was just, I think it was like broken record kind of thing. And I have a feeling that was Bob's doing. I think maybe he turned it on, or maybe he made like the music go away on purpose, because I think he wanted to hear like Madeline's screams, and that bothered me because, again, she's screaming this entire scene. She's terrified. I think he wanted to hear her, and that is so disturbing another level. Because I think Bob is, he's sick. He's a sick bastard, and I hope they take him out somehow. Okay, so there is one thing that I did mention that at the end of this video that I really want to talk about. So I mentioned the part with Madeline comes downstairs, and then she mentions that there's a fire. Okay, so like we know that Bob is now like infamous for this quote. He says, "Fire, walk with me." I have a lot of questions to that because the fire thing. There's something very significant about fire with his character, and that's because I haven't really seen him associate with fire yet. But my theory is maybe it's just a theory. I'm not done with season 2 yet. I'm halfway, or more than halfway, a little bit now. My theory is that he died in a fire. That's my theory, and I think maybe that's why he's obsessed with fire in some way. Maybe he wants his victims to feel it somehow as he's killing them. And I think the fire walk with me is kind of like come with me, as like, I guess it's kind of like a very sick like metaphor of him taking his victims with him straight into the hell, because if he's a demon, that does make more sense because, in hell it's fire, right? I'm sure it's associated with fire. and maybe he wants his victims to come with him to this realm. He wants them to feel it as he's killing them. That's my theory as to what Fire Walk With Me means. But yeah, that's just all I got for right now, guys. Twin Peaks is a fascinating show. I love it. The first half, season 2, was perfection. After that, I do have thoughts on it. I'm actually going to do some other video on Twin Peaks much later, so once I'm done with the whole season, because I have a lot to talk about, because I feel like season 2, it's good in the second half, but there's some parts I was a little like, with, but yeah, yeah, that's going to be some other video, in the future, but yeah. I feel like needed to be talked about because it was incredibly disturbing. I had a hard time watching it. I've never seen a scene in television like that that ever made me freeze up. And yeah, I was like, Red Room was very creepy, but this was terrifying. It was horrible to see that go down with Madeline. You know, I have seen so much like television of, like, for example, like true crime and all that. And this, the way they filmed it, again, I gotta give it to David Lynch here and Mark Frost. They made you feel her terror, and I've never felt that way before with any show. When someone gets killed, I've never seen that in any TV show ever, and I felt like I was there with her as she was getting murdered. And oh man, I was so angry when Madeline died. I was so mad. She didn't deserve that fate at all. She was an innocent girl. And for her to die like that, I was so mad. And the fact that her own uncle killed her. Oh man, I did not like that. I was so mad. So mad with that twist, how she got killed. It's just, that's great writing, but oh my god, that's scary. That is so scary. And this show has become the best maybe crime show I've seen in years, but Twin Peaks, damn, they know how to make you terrified.